and they are in their 10th year to Spread the Word to End the Word campaign. So here to talk about the campaign and much more is MaryEllens Powers. She is not only an advocate and a global messenger for Special Olympics Rhode Island, but for global Special Olympics. MaryEllens, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, so I'm very glad that you're here to talk about this. The campaign, Spread the Word to End the Word, is in its 10th year, and you've been a big advocate for several years now. Talk to us a little bit about the involvement and a little bit about the campaign.
Well, the Spread the Word to End the Word campaign is basically an opportunity for people to take the pledge to drop the word retard from everyday language. And it's important that we take this pledge because that word is very hurtful to people who have intellectual disabilities. It began as our medical diagnosis, mental retardation, but somewhere along the line it became like a synonym for stupid or dumb. And even when it's not directed at people with disabilities, we are still offended by it.
It's extremely hurtful, and it's hard to believe that in 2018 that people are still using that word in whatever context that they're using it for, but it is true. People are using that word. Talk to us a little bit about, you've shared your story in blog posts, including for the Huffington Post. They published a blog that you wrote. Talk to us about sharing your story, why it was important for you to get this out there, to share your personal story about bullying and overcoming that.
Well, for me personally, when I was a teenager, I was bullied. I was called retarded. I lost a great deal of self-confidence, and it took me years to gain it back. And I finally gained my self-confidence back when I joined Special Olympics, and I got involved with the Athlete Leadership Program. And athlete leadership is where athletes can demonstrate leadership skills within the community in Special Olympics, like being a global messenger or serving on committees. And I learned to build my voice back again, become a strong athlete, and somewhere along the line I became a lot more confident in standing up for myself and for the people that I care about, because the athletes that I've met through Special Olympics, my younger brother who has autism, the students I used to work with at Meeting Street, I was a teacher assistant there before I came to work with Special Olympics Rhode Island. Every time I get out there and advocate, stand up and say, that's not a nice word, these people are not retarded, I'm standing up for all of them and say, we've had enough. We want this to end, because it is very hurtful.
I think those words are so powerful. And something that you wrote was, it is powerful. You wrote, "We aren't being politically correct," or the word police. Talk to us about what you mean by that, because words have such powerful connotation.
Absolutely. And when I first became an advocate for this, I stood out against a movie that was released called Tropic Thunder, where the word was used consistently throughout the movie. And I did my homework. I saw the movie before addressing the media, along with the former CEO of Special Olympics. It was very painful for me to sit through that movie. It was used completely in the sense of being stupid, or having you're pretending to be someone with an intellectual disability, and just constantly saying, I was retarded, constantly. And it was so painful that I couldn't sit through the entire movie, but I sat through just enough to hear it used. I don't know how many more times it was used after that, but that was the day I finally broke out of my shell completely. I stood alongside Mike McGovern, who was the CEO at the time before he retired, and we addressed the media. We spoke to news stations. We did interviews with newspapers, and we thought, this is not funny. And this has made a global movement, and it's not just the people with intellectual disabilities. We're not being the word police. We are compassionate people, and we've been hurt by the word too many times. And as a family member, it's painful hearing people say it about your son or daughter, or your brother or sister. I can't begin to tell you what it was like for me as a teenager, going home crying from being called that, being called fat and ugly. And it's important for me to be that voice for people who are still afraid to stand up for themselves, like I was when I was their age, or even adults today who are still called it.
I think it's incredible that you're being the voice for people, like you've said now, and like you're saying in the post that you've written before, that you want to be that voice for people who just aren't quite ready to be their own voice yet. And I think that's amazing. And people are encouraged to be a voice as well and to use their voice in a better way, in a more positive way. What can people do? Let's start off by saying they can take the pledge, right? Mm-hmm. So you can go to it's like a -word.org. I've taken the pledge myself. Talked about how people can take the pledge besides just signing up online. What can people do every day to be kinder to each other and to quit using that word?
Well, it's been hugely involved in our schools, especially in high school and middle school. Middle school is the worst for me socially.
I think for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for everybody, but a lot.
Yeah. And even more so for people with disabilities because, we have a harder time standing up for ourselves. So they've taken the pledge in schools, but it's not just kids. Adults need to learn it too. And it's taken such a powerful message that even celebrities have taken the pledge. And people around the world are doing it. So, before when you mentioned about like the word police, I remember doing an interview and someone said, "Oh, we're being the word police." Or I've seen negative reactions to me standing up and addressing people and saying, "Oh, they're being politically correct." I'm thinking, no, we're not. We're just compassionate people who have been hurt by it. And the more people listen to us, the more we are spreading that message. So yes, they could take the pledge in their schools. They can do it. To me, any day. To me, spread the word day is every day.
Yeah. Do you think that it comes down to education about what the word means and knowing that it's hurtful to a lot of people? Do you think it comes down to just really educating, starting in elementary school, starting in middle school, and really continuing into adulthood, just educating that it's not okay to use this word in that connotation that you're using it?
Absolutely, and I learned through the campaign, if I could have an effect on one person and change their perspective and tell them, how hurtful this is, that would mean the world to me. And I've made an impact on at least 2 people that I know who have said it before, but never in the context to hurt somebody, just to mean stupid. And they thought, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. This is hurtful. And they've learned not to say that. So that meant the world for me. Just knowing that it may have impact on those people, but reaching out to other people with intellectual disabilities, keep spreading that message because people are listening.
I think you've probably made an impact on more than 2 people, but we'll let you think. If you only think it's 2, we'll let you think. But I think you've probably made an impact on more than 2 people. So I think you've made quite an impact so far. I think it's a really powerful message, and education is crucial, and kudos to you for continuing to spread the message. If you're interested, you can go on and take the pledge. It's r-word.org. I'll have a link on our website. Let's talk a little bit about the advocacy work you do within the community. You mentioned that you worked at Meeting Street School, a neat opportunity there, and now you're working at Special Olympics Rhode Island. Talk to us just a little bit about your involvement at Special Olympics and what this opportunity has been like for you. Not only are you an athlete, but now you're working there and your involvement on the 50th anniversary here in Rhode Island.
Well, I wear a lot of hats in a nutshell, but first and foremost, I'm an athlete. I compete in swimming, unified bowling, and unified sailing, and the unified sports are where people with and without disabilities can participate in sports together.
Cool.
And so from that, I went through athlete leadership training. I learned how to become a global messenger, where we go out into the community and educate people about Special Olympics and about what's going on within the Special Olympics community. I've been involved with our State Summer Games Planning Committee as an athlete representative. I now serve on a Special Olympics committee through North America Athlete Leadership. And in 2011, I was invited to the Special Olympics office for a visit, and then they offered me a full-time job. And even though I loved my previous job at Meeting Street, I fulfilled my childhood dream working there, being a teacher, a teacher assistant. But then Special Olympics came to me, and I thought, I want to give back to them what they gave me, my confidence. And it was, I still remember the day it happened. It was spectacular. It was like a kid finding out they're going to Disney. It was that exciting. But then from that moment on, I just kept developing more confidence in my daily job with every task that I perform. I'm involved with our 50th anniversary planning committee, helping prepare for what's coming this coming year with our 50th anniversary. And I recently learned that I'm going to be going to Chicago for the 50th anniversary celebration this coming July.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay, I was going to ask you, what inside scoop can you give us? That's pretty big. Cool. What will you be doing there?
I'm going as an athlete leader through my involvement on the Special Olympics North America Athlete Leadership Committee, and that's all the details I can give for now.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully you'll fill us in then, right?
Yeah.
Later? Okay. All right. Maybe we can Skype in from Chicago this summer. That would be pretty cool. So you've done all that, but you all, like you said, MaryEllens wears many hats through her duties with Special Olympics Rhode Island. It's my understanding that because you have been an advocate and kind of an ambassador, you spoke at the 2010 Global Congress in Morocco, where you addressed over 600 people, including the Princess of Morocco. Mm-hmm. My goodness, royalty! What was that experience like for you?
It was a remarkable experience, and I had to mention I'm also a co-host on Special Olympics Rhode Island magazine, which is a television show here in Rhode Island that airs on Cox. That the entire crew are made up of Special Olympics Rhode Island athletes. I forgot to mention that in the last question, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned it now. But Morocco was truly amazing, an amazing experience. I was one of 17 athletes selected from the country to go and attend the Global Congress, and I was one of 5 who stood on stage before the entire Congress, which consisted of over 600 people, including the princess. And I was nervous at first, but I got some advice from people who work at Special Olympics headquarters, and they said, your speech is great. You don't need to tweak anything, because we had the opportunity to do that before our presentations, and they said it's perfect the way it is. So it was incredible, the whole experience, learning about the culture there. You know, you dress in, women have to dress in layers, and we got to see a marketplace. I even got to sit on a camel.
That's pretty neat. I have to say, speaking in front of 600 people, I mean, I public speak every day. You co-host a show, and so you're used to like public audience, but 600 people, that's a lot of people to sit out in front of you, and then royalty. That has to be, I probably would be terrified. So kudos to you for getting those nerves under control, because I think I would be like, okay, I'm out of here. That's scary. And how neat to be able to learn about the culture. And Morocco's not the only country that you've been able to visit. When you were the co-host on Special Olympics Rhode Island magazine, you were able to visit Ireland and Japan as well. To work on that television show. What was that experience like for you? You've been able to travel a lot.
Ireland was the first time I traveled outside of the country, and it was so beautiful. The whole crew of Special Olympics Rhode Island magazine at the time got to attend the games and cover the footage, cover the athletes from Rhode Island, you know, film everything, and we stood alongside media from around the world. And I had the same opportunity in Japan, where someone who heard about our show was so interested in it that they made up a film crew in their country where, same thing, people with intellectual disabilities. And so they invited us to come, and we learned from each other. We were filming each other. We were filming our two athletes who went from Rhode Island to the games. So again, the culture was beautiful. Ireland, for me personally, was I enjoyed both of them, but because I am 100% Irish, I loved Ireland just as much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that probably was cool for you to be able to say, hey, this is where I'm from, this is where my ancestors are from. Mm-hmm. So you had like a little bit more of a connection.
I did. In fact, my sister and my brother-in-law traveled through Ireland at the same time, and we met up in Dublin, and they got to go to the opening ceremonies of the games, and they even found family out there too. So, I'd love to go back someday and see our family roots, but like the fact that my sister got to experience finding family out there was like exciting, just hearing about it.
Wow. Okay, so now you have to go. Now you have to go again.
Yeah.
So you did the work aspect. Now you need a vacation aspect. You're so busy working. You need a vacation.
Well, I love my job. Anytime I get to go anywhere, it's also a vacation for me.
That's pretty neat.
I love everything about Special Olympics.
That's pretty neat, and you are actively involved. So I do have to ask you, you're working on the 50th anniversary for here in Rhode Island. You're headed out to Chicago for a 50th anniversary. Are you still actively competing?
Yes, that does not stop, because, I always remember, what is the most important thing with my involvement. I'm an athlete leader, but I'm an athlete first. I just started my swim season. That is my spring sport, and I participate in that at our state summer games. I just finished my bowling season this past weekend, where I brought home a silver.
Nice.
So.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I'm not the best in my team, so I had 3 other strong people in my lane, so thanks to them, we brought home the silver.
Congratulations, team. That's cool.
Thank you.
That's great. So just wrapped up bowling and starting swimming. That's fantastic, and I think that's really important and really neat that you're able to be the leader within the community and also be able to work your way as an athlete as well. So MaryEllens Powers, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate that. We are going to put links up on our website as well if you are interested. Again, we're talking about the Spread the Word to End the Word campaign, and you can read part of MaryEllens' blog post as well. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to get it set up here for our next guest on Go Local Live. Hang tight. Thank you so much. That was great.
Thank you.